What's up, guys? Happy Saturday. Let's get a part 2 going to my crazy adoption story. Not crazy, but just, it's a story. It's a story written by God, a story written by love, a story written by obedience. So now that you guys, if you have not seen my first part, click on the comment right there and you can go to the first part. It is a little long, but you know what? It's been on my heart to share this with people who don't know about my journey. So after I got all the confirmations that I needed from God, I told the adoption counselors, I know who's supposed to be my son's parents, and this is who they are. So when I first told the adoption counselors that Kurt and Logan were who my parents were supposed to be for my son, they gave me some bad news and said they are part of our adoption agency, but unfortunately, they've already been chosen by another person. In the adoption agency, they had books. The families that were looking to adopt made books about their life, about what your child's life would look like. The books were amazing, and I went through so many books. I was a little crushed and a little confused because I knew what I saw in my dreams, and I knew what the lady told me, and I didn't understand, why it wasn't working out. So a few more weeks went by, and I kept just having, the same dream. I kept seeing them in a park with my son on the swings, seeing them, it was like I was like a fly on the wall in their house. I was seeing them with my son, and I knew that that's who it was supposed to be. And I kept telling the adoption ladies, this is who it's supposed to be. And so, finally, a few weeks before I was supposed to have my son, I was still looking through books, and they gave me a new set of books. It was 3 books. I sat and looked. I didn't look through all of them first. I sat there and I looked through the first one, and it was nice. And I remember it was a nice family, and they already had children, and they had also had a child that they lost to a traumatic event. I won't go into details of it, but they had a child, and they had lost that child, and they were, looking for a child to adopt. And I just didn't feel like that was the one. So I looked through the next one, and I really liked that one too. They were nice, but I just didn't feel like that was it. So I get to the third one, and they were nice too, but again, I just didn't feel like that was the one. So I open up the last book, and I remember it was red, and the front page was Kurt and Logan. Kurt and Logan had been chosen by another girl, and at the last moment, the girl took back her decision and decided to parent her child. And that's when I knew, this is it. This is my family. This is who I'm choosing. This is who my son is supposed to be with. And I chose them. After I told the adoption ladies, this is who it is. I don't want any more books. This is who it is. I'm steadfast in my decision. I'm confident. This is it. They let Kurt and Logan know. And of course, I understand, they had just went through, not necessarily, getting their hopes up, but they had been chosen by another girl, and she backed out, right at the last minute, literally right after she had her baby. Because once you have your baby, the adoption agency will come into the hospital and talk with you to make sure that that is still your decision that you're making, and then you sign your paperwork. It's basically, I don't know how to explain it. It was just basically a paperwork stating that, yes, I'm placing my child for adoption. And I remember just feeling so much peace. Again, I never thought that me like being adopted myself by my grandparents, I never thought that I would one day have a child that I would place for adoption. Now we're about 2 weeks before I give birth, 2, 3 weeks before I give birth. And there was a lady at the maternity home that was also a photographer, and she had a business doing photography all around the Tyler area. And she had come into the house because she was also a missionary and associated with YWAM and Father Heart. Her name was Callie. She had come into the house and said she needed a couple of models. She wanted to take a couple of pictures, and she, there was just a couple of us there, right? At the moment. I was one of them, and I think maybe 2 other people. Anyway, she brought a bunch of props and a bunch of different things for us to take these cute little maternity pictures. And this was probably one of the first times I've ever had anything like this done in my life. And still to this day, 14 years later almost, I've never done anything like this. But Callie took maternity pictures of us out in the fields. And it was, she was saying it was for her portfolio or whatever. And so I was down to help. I thought it was cool. I had never had nothing like that before. So she asked us to get ready, like put some makeup on, do our hair. And, here I am in all my glory with my son getting maternity pictures. Anyway, come to find out, Kurt and Logan paid for those maternity pictures for me to have those special memories with my son. And when I tell you this story is full of love, I absolutely mean it. Then after that, it's so crazy. They ended up throwing me it was like in essence, it was like a baby shower for a birth mom. They threw a party for me to love on me. There were so many people there, like it was a surprise, and I hate surprises, and I walked to it, and it was so crazy. Like there was like food and like so many people there loving on me. They were there. I was showered with so many gifts and just things for myself, like a Kindle, a camera so I could take pictures and have pictures of my son. And it was just crazy, like another thing I've never experienced in my life. And it was just so nice to like feel the love from even before Ethan was born. And then my due date hit. I was due December 25th, 2011. And I stayed at most of the girls for the holidays, they left and went back with their families, but unfortunately, I didn't really have any family to go home to at the time. So I stayed at the house and did Christmas with everybody at the house. There wasn't very many people there, but it was me and the house parents, Alex and her daughter, and I think maybe one other girl. Well, I didn't have my baby on the 25th. And I was happy about that because I didn't really want a Christmas baby. And so I was kind of thankful that I didn't have Christmas and then go have my baby in the hospital the same day. But 2 days later, actually, literally, right at like 12:02 in the morning, on the morning of the 27th, I had just taken a shower. I hadn't been feeling good. I was exhausted. I was super pregnant. I was just not feeling good. I'd taken a really, really hot shower, was getting ready to lay in bed, just got into bed. I had turned my Kindle on because I had gotten a Kindle at my little party that I had a couple of days earlier, and I was turning it on to read my books to go to bed, and I just feel this really hard like squeeze on my stomach, and I felt like a pop, like a balloon, like a pop, right? And then I just felt the water gushing out. And I'm like, what? Stay tuned for part 3 because you're not going to want to miss this. You're not going to want to miss this.